Welcome back to 500 Doors Real Estate Podcast. And if this is your first time joining you, let me catch you up. I'm Kim Hayden, your host, and I am a 22-year veteran real estate agent, award-winning on every level there is in 2 different brokerages. But I believe behind every door is opportunity. Today's show, we're going to be diving in and finding out ways that real estate agents can, better invest not only in their career, but in their future. And, this show is all about bringing experts in to help agents have better business and better lives. So before we get there, I do want everybody to take note real quick. We do have our 500-doors.com up and running now. And super excited that we'll have all sorts of tips and strategies on there for new agents that are looking to sell and scale. And we have our monthly magazine or our quarterly magazine that's going to be coming out shortly in October, featuring some of these amazing agents. So agents and investment brokers, anybody that touches real estate. And we want to just make sure that we're supporting you because we know it is not a job, it's a lifestyle. So on today's show, first of all, I have to say this gal, gorgeous head of hair. You should see, if you haven't checked out her her headshots, they're amazing. I tracked Liza down. I wanted to get more insight as to what else is in real estate. We're all out there hustling, trying to get that next commission. But what are the other options and opportunities to build wealth, not only for our clients, but for ourselves in this business? So Liza Rogers is a real estate investor. She's a property developer and the founder of the Women's Real Estate Network. It's a BC-based social enterprise focused on creating community and collaboration. And that's what we're all about here. She has 25 years experience in global tourism and events, including management of international vacation properties. Liza is a visionary who excels at attracting financial partners. Currently, she's working on projects that respect wild spaces and biodiversity, preserve multifamily character homes, and advocate for and invest in co-housing, co-living initiatives. Her approach to real estate investing emphasizes the importance of team and partnership in enhancing social, cultural, and environmental values in our communities. Her passion is bringing a holistic lens to her work and being an example that wealth isn't just about money. So everybody sit back, sit tight. This is going to be a great conversation because as you know, if you've listened to any of my podcasts before, you know that my mama said to me, Kimberly Joe, poverty is a state of mind, not a state of economics. And that, my dear, is why your bio caught my attention, Liza. Good morning.
Good morning, Kim. It's so great to be here. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's interesting. Whenever I hear that bio read, it's like, you kind of get a little bit like, oh my gosh, all of these wonderful things being said about me. And then you're like, oh yeah, I guess I have done a lot. You have to remind yourself, kind of pinch yourself that all of the things you've done are real and exciting and that other people want to know about them because they can be helpful.
Absolutely. So, it's funny that you say that because my favorite thing to do is reading bios. That is literally my favorite part of the entire thing. But I was also the mom that I had different voices for every Dr. Seuss character, and Berenstain Bears I totally crushed. So I love having good stories, and I believe our bios are that opportunity. And by the way, if you are in real estate, if you do not have a bio, just like if you were going to go on somebody's talk show, you should really think of writing one because you see all these amazing things and you go, hey, I am worthy to be at this table. I am ready to be heard. So
And a good thing to do is get someone else to write it for you, because you'll inevitably skip some things, or it won't be as great if you unless you get someone who
Yeah.
really knows you and knows what you've done. You get them to write it for you, and nothing gets missed.
Well, and we see, especially women, we tend to minimize all the great things we do. And you know what? Quit living small, ladies. Quit living small. Um, so let's dive into who you are. This is where I like to find out a little bit, did you suck your thumb till you were 4 and this is why you do community? But like, what is a little bit of a pre-frame to Liza that has led to this awesome journey?
Yeah, so a couple of key things. I mean, first of all, my mom was mostly a single mom, so raising two daughters on a hairdresser salary was not an easy thing. And she is definitely an inspiration for me. She's 76. Most people, when they meet her, think she's my sister, and so she's just super young, super vibrant, super healthy. She still works. She's been a hairdresser. She's one of those fortunate people. She's been a hairdresser her entire life, 55 years of being a hairdresser. And so she's just been a huge inspiration. And also, as a single person, I didn't want to be alone, or B, having to work when I'm still her age, right? So that's a big part of the motivation for doing what I've done. And I think the big thing is the industry that I worked in, mentioning, global tourism and cruise ships and working in Olympic Games and event planning. That's now what we refer to as the gig economy. All right. I was always working on contract. You'd go from one contract to another. You'd have a nice break in between. You'd be traveling. But when you go into the bank and you say, I think I'm ready to buy a house, can I get a mortgage? They just laugh at you, because the gig economy is something that bankers just don't understand. So for me, real estate came from, it basically was a solution to both of the key factors that I had, that were, how am I going to continue to live this awesome life where I get to travel and work on events and do really fun things. And I kind of joke that I retired before before anybody else does, and led this great life, and now I have to work harder to make up for it. But real estate was the solution that said, okay, you can still have that lifestyle, and you can make sure that you can be as vibrant as your mom, and not necessarily still be working or be dependent on the government, as so many people are going to be, because it can provide that income well into your retirement age. And when you're working in a normal job, or you're working in the gig economy, that was like not an option. So real estate was a great solution for me, and that's how I ended up here.
So, and you started a connectivity group for women in real estate. We see a lot of real estate agents that don't invest in real estate. So, what are some options? Like, how did you get started? Because real estate is, again, like a gig economy, in the sense that it's one deal after the next deal after the next deal. There's not, you don't know if there's a paycheck, right? You have to curate that. So give us some steps on how you launched into this, and what are some like, what is the one actionable step that everybody must do when they don't have a corporate paycheck?
So building a network. I mean, that's, really, that is the number one thing that you need to do. And that's building your network of friends, your support network, your professional network. And when you're in real estate, and especially when you're focusing on real estate investing, so if you're a realtor who's not investing yet and you want to start doing that, or you're someone who's, purely focused on investing, you've got to have great lawyers, great accountants, great mortgage brokers, great realtors who are investor focused, because people who are investors are going to want to work with a realtor who is an investor, right? Because it's someone who's gone out and bought 10 houses is just not going to work with someone who hasn't either A, bought one yet, or B, hasn't started investing, because it doesn't make sense from a, been there, done that, can walk the path with you kind of thing. So definitely the network is the most important thing, the network and the team. And yes, that all of my success has come from being able to build this incredible network that we've got in WREN, the Women's Real Estate Network.
In building that network, do you have set kind of parameters, or where does somebody even start on how to, um, you know, pool their resources in order to start investing?
So a couple of things there in terms of good things to think about. So first of all, when you're building that network, how do you start building it, right? So obviously, figuring out who in your closest circle are already like-minded and already thinking the same kind of ideas that you are, and good to brainstorming with those kinds of people and getting ideas about what's trending now, and what are the marketing things doing, and what's the economy doing, and where do you find out all of that information. And then beyond that, it's going to things like joining your local chamber of commerce, joining your local meetup groups that are affinity minded, right? I mean, there's like Meetup was, when I moved to Victoria, gosh, 7 years ago, I had just come from living in Australia for a year. I'd never lived in Victoria. I joined meetup groups before I even got here, so that as soon as I arrived, I would have, places to go, people to meet, and start building a network for living in a new city. So I think it's really important to participate in. And now that we've come out of COVID, those things are happening again, right? We're doing our first live event with 90 women on September 24th. We haven't done that for almost 3 years. So going to those events, going to those, local community events, going to the events that are happening there's an organization called the Prosperity Project, South Island Prosperity Project, and they do great events, and they invite economists and housing specialists and residential builders and all kinds of people in real estate. And so you really learn a lot when you're in a room with people who are either doing one aspect of what you're doing or the whole piece. And that's a big key piece of it as well.
If somebody's a real estate agent and they want to engage the investor groups, what are some things that you look at for what are the keys that that this could be a good fit for your group?
Absolutely. So for us, we're very particular about who we bring on, and generally for our group, we ask our real estate agents to become sponsors, because we know they're going to make a ton of money from the referrals that they get from us. So we vet our real estate team really strongly, and so what we look for is, again, are they investors? So do they understand the difference between working with an investor and a first-time home buyer? And there will be lots of realtors who are going to be great with working with those first-time home buyers, and that's what they're going to specialize in, and that's awesome. But what we look for in particular is, how long have they been in real estate? What's their track record? How long have they been with their current brokerage? Right? Do they have a good brokerage that they're with? Is a well-respected brokerage? Have they been there for quite a long time? Do they have referrals? Right? Can they give me some phone numbers of 2 or 3 people that they have sold real estate to, that I can call and say, hey, what was your experience with this person? Are they proactive? A friend of mine told me a story the other day where a friend of his was listing his condo, and his realtor said, can you please write me the listing description of your condo? I'm going to be putting it out next week. And we were both like, what? That's your job. So it's getting a realtor who understands that there's a lot involved in being a realtor, and don't pass the stuff back to your client. They've hired you for a reason. So taking good photographs. Oh my gosh, how many people have seen terrible photographs of someone when they're trying to sell their house, right? Taking good professional photographs, using good marketing, brochures. I mean, nowadays you can't get away with just, putting up house and saying, here it is, here's your listing, and on we go. And also being aware of some of the triggers that make it challenging for people to get financing. So I bet most real estate agents don't realize that if you put Airbnb in a listing, banks don't like that.
Yeah.
So you might get someone who wants to buy that place as a revenue property, and they may ask you, they may actually phone the realtor and say, can you please take out the reference to Airbnb because our bank won't finance that if it's in there. So
Yeah.
all of those little things that you have to know about these days and staying on top of them, right? Making sure that as a realtor, you are at the top of your game, you're involved with your local board, and you know what's going on in the economy, and you can help your buyers make a good decision. It's a lot, isn't it?
Oh yeah, no, I personally, we've moved over 1,500 properties. So, when you've got $500 million, and you know what, when you start listing it all out, it's like, and it is interesting. This is why I was saying, write your bio, folks, because you don't even realize what you do know until you can start checking off those check boxes. But I love that you mentioned the listing description, because my husband's dyslexic, and God love him, but I love the school teachers, and we've had so many of these over the years, and they proof everything. And we actually went to an evaluation lunch where this person goes, "Oh, and what about spelling mistakes?" And I said, "Oh, I guarantee those. Those I can guarantee." Needless to say, have a little humor, folks. Have a little humor, because life is too short not to have fun. And even though, and sometimes a little humor can kind of let that valve off, that pressure valve of the situation. I want to dive into international investing. We're starting to see a lot of this. And I know, because I'm here in Calgary, Alberta, but I'm originally from Wichita, Kansas. And my son and I are looking at a triplex in Wichita that we can purchase. I don't even want to tell everybody how cheap all this stuff is.
Probably
But we can
$100,000 or $200,000.
$170,000. All three are rented long term at an average of $800 a month for each one. So it is a 5-year cash return. Some markets are 5-year cash returns. So I think you have to know your markets also. So Wichita is not one where you just turn around and flip and expect to make 3, 5, 10% on a property, because they hold pretty steady. So Wichita is like a retirement fund investment. There's communities that are flippers, right? Where you can go in and you can actually buy something, do some improvements, and make money. And then there are areas like in Texas that are just, people are flocking to. So the property is just meeting that demand. Toronto is another one. Toronto is they're estimated another 600,000 people are estimated to immigrate or move to Toronto in just the next 5 years. And
Crazy.
those people have to live somewhere, right? So let's talk about buying outside of your own backyard. And have you done this? Do you talk on this?
We're working on it right now. We are we've come close a couple of times. So we almost bought a mobile home park in Texas a few years ago, and it was right before COVID. And then COVID hit, and we thought, okay, look, let's just leave it for now. Yeah, absolutely.
And now you're going, oh!
yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, would it have been a good thing or a bad thing? Because we wouldn't have been able to go down and visit it. There were lots of things going on, and lots of people in Canada are feeling very negative about what's happening in Texas right now for lots of different reasons. So Texas is a great place to invest. They actually have a Texas Canadian Chamber of Commerce because they want the Canadians to invest down there. And Texas's GDP is the same as the whole country of Canada. So their economy is huge. So, but when you talk about international investing, yeah, I get all excited, because for me, being that international traveler and having lived overseas, part of the whole thing for me, again, not wanting to, be single and alone when I'm really old, it's building that community. And I want to keep traveling. And I've done lots of solo travel, but I want to travel with friends sometimes. And so if you're buying property overseas, why not buy it with a group of friends? So that's what we've been working on now. So we almost bought a property in Mexico. It's an absolutely gorgeous property. But when we were down there just this past year, we decided it was just a little bit too far into a quiet area. We wanted a little bit more kind of action because, we're all still really young at heart, and we want to be able to pop down to the bar and have a tequila and not have to walk 2 miles home. So we've looked at Mexico. We're actively working on Portugal right now. So we've got a group of people who are meeting, pretty much monthly, and it's probably going to become bi-weekly soon because we're narrowing down what we're going to buy in Portugal and where. So we've got probably about 20 people in our group who are looking at Portugal. We are probably going to look at Turkey at some point in the next couple of years, maybe France, maybe a vacation home in France. And of course, the US, right? I mean, the US is just such a no-brainer, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity come up in the US because of the economic climate. And there will be people who, bought when the rates were low and maybe overpaid a little bit, like we've done here. And they still have a housing shortage in so many cities in the US.
Yep.
But there's going to be some interesting places to buy in the US, and we still like the US very much. We're still going to buy that mobile home park in the US.
Well, I saw in Spokane an apartment complex. It was 80 units, and I almost bought it because it's still close enough that you can get there no problem. And now I'm American Canadian, so like I don't have any issues going back and forth. I do know that there's some advantages as a foreign investor into real estate in the United States, some tax advantages that way. What are the markers that you look for when you're growing these groups? Because I've seen people who have gone in on sailboats in Florida and things like that, and then those relationships break down, and then they're left with this boat anchor that they have to liquidate because one person can't carry it. How do you vet those? What type of contracts or things that you're putting in place to ensure that it doesn't go south on people?
Absolutely. And I think you said the key word is have the contract, right? So many people, let's buy a boat together, right? And the next day they're, all in and all excited, and they've gone and they bought their boat, but they haven't actually set up any of the parameters for owning it, maintaining it, using it, selling it, whatever it is. And so, we just closed literally not a week ago on an 8-unit apartment building that we call it the BFF mansion. So it's always been my dream to, buy a property with a group of friends, and we want to go and repeat this around the world. And so we've now got a really good template for how to do that, because we've just bought in Victoria, which is a difficult market to buy in Victoria, BC. And so we've bought an 8-unit apartment building that's right across the street from the beach, and all of us are going to live in it. So we're going to be moving into it over the next year. And it literally becomes what we call like the BFF house, the best friends forever house. And so how do you get to that point? Well, first of all, you've got to have a group of like-minded people who understand that it's a long-term play. You're not just going to buy an 8-unit apartment building and be in it for a year and then say, oh, I don't want to be in this anymore, I want out. You have to get people who are committed. And we usually say you've got to be willing to stay in for at least 3 years, preferably 5, and that this is going to be a long-term hold. And then you have to work with the right lawyer to get your agreements done before you actually buy the property. So as we've been working on our close in this property, and we had a fairly long close. One of the things you can do with commercial that's different than residential, you can have a much longer close. So we were meeting twice a week and hashing everything out. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we'd meet at 8:30 and we talk about what's going in our joint venture agreement. How are we going to handle renovations? Who is going to be paid to manage the property? We're going to have an external property manager. All of those pieces that when you own an asset together, it's different when you've just got it yourself or with one other person. But when you have it with a group, you're literally marrying these people. And so, it's like a marriage. You're entering into a really significant long-term relationship that when you get divorced, right, which is your exit strategy, you have to have that worked out in advance. And so having the lawyers work through that with you and really nailing it down so that everybody's happy and everybody completely understands what they're buying into, what the length of time is, and what the exit strategy is. And once you've all agreed on that, then you move forward and you actually do the transaction. But a lot of people kind of jump in first without even something like a simple joint venture agreement, and then they're like, oh, I want out, and now it gets ugly.
Yes, it's like having a good prenup. We've
Mm-hmm.
seen, Hollywood has showed us, have a good prenup.
Exactly.
As a real estate agent, so knowing that their funds come and go based on, strong month, shallow month, whatever, right? Is your group, is it full? Is there room for opportunity? Are you seeking other markets where you could develop projects in? Because a lot of real estate agents, they have the opportunity of, leveraging their commission and their skill set and the access to market. What are the options there for somebody that's in real estate that goes, well, this is kind of cool, and you seem to have everything worked out. So, what are those opportunities?
Yeah, so for WREN in particular, I mean, we're excited about the fact that one of the things that did come out of the whole COVID pandemic was being able to switch from just doing in-person events to doing virtual events. And so now, we have events that are coast to coast because we do our virtual events. We do 5 a month, actually 4 a month, and then our happy hours that we do. And so just on Tuesday, we have something that we introduced in September called Turbo Tuesdays, and we do that at 4 p.m. Pacific, specifically so that our friends in Moncton and Toronto can join in, and it's not, midnight when we're finishing things up. So we had, our friend Lynn in Toronto, who's from Raintree Financial Solutions, talking to us about, what gains some of the private equity markets have just shown recently. And we're like, holy smokes, those are amazing. Then we had an update from our friend Darlene, who's a realtor in Moncton. And, Moncton is declared this year as one of the best places to invest in Canada. And Moncton had been like, flat as a pancake for years. And all of a sudden it's like this. And so there's a number of factors that have come into play with being, for WREN, allowing us to grow our group nationally and bring in other great people who have great markets that they want more exposure to, and frankly, more partners in. I mean, we're looking at an apartment building in Alberta that a colleague of mine just sent me last night, and we're going to do some analysis on that this morning. So yeah, getting into our group or getting into, any of your good local real estate investment groups. I mean, they're everywhere. Like if you haven't found the real estate investment group in your community yet, you just need to start Googling it, because I can pretty much guarantee you they're there. And so, yeah, so we always have room for more people. We're particular in that we want people who join our group to be action takers and to be, have a lot of integrity, right? Us in particular, we obviously have a focus on women. And so one of the things that we don't like is mansplaining. You're out. So I can't tell you how many times I've, been traveling and sat down at the bar at the airport. Oh, what do you do? I'm a real estate investor. And, well, little lady, let me tell you, right? And I'm like, just don't even, right? So I can't tell you how many times that's happened. So we look for enlightened men and wonderful women and people who are action takers and people who have a lot of integrity. And we've just been very lucky that we've just attracted such a great group of people, and we're just doing such exciting things together. It's just amazing. I'm so proud of our group. I'm so proud of us.
I can't tell. I can't tell that. Yeah, I think we'd have to like nail your shoes to the ground if you were any more excited. It comes through, and that benefits everybody. That benefits everybody. I always ask, what does community mean to you?
Yeah, good question. For me, community can be so many things. But for me personally, I've probably kind of hinted at it. It's that, who am I going to grow old with? right? There's lots of women who are choosing to be single. 50% of women, or what is the stat? I usually know these stats right off the top of my head. I think it's 50% of women over 50 will remain single. And a lot of people are not getting married. So if they've been, divorced or separated or widowed, they're not getting remarried. So women need to build their community and create their community, and we're living longer. So the average age of a widow in Canada is 56 years old. That one I know off heart, because we talk about how shocking that is. And so you have to build your community, because you might live for another 40 years. And so for me, community is, my group of wonderful women and enlightened men who want the same thing that I do. They want to live a full life. They want to leave a legacy. They want to make a contribution. They want to travel together. They want to own property overseas that we can all go to in the wintertime and share and celebrate Christmases together. And so that for me is community. Who do you call that you can call at any time and say, hey, this organization needs a group of volunteers to go and serve breakfast to the homeless. Let's all do it together. So people who are like-minded, have the same passions as you, and are going to support you into your old age, because I plan on living a long time and having a great life. And I want people to share that with me and have fun with me on the way.
And they say, have a plan. And that's what you're doing, is you're building that roadmap to the future.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What is a good book that you think every woman should read?
Oh, well, of course, it's ours.
Oh, okay. So hold it up.
Ordinary.
Hold it back up. Okay. Ordinary to Extraordinary. Yeah. Is that on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. It's also on our website, and we've got hard copies we can even put in the mail.
Amazing. I apologize. Somehow I missed that in your bio. I would.
Oh, that's okay. We might have forgot to send that in. Sometimes we do these things so quickly. It's like, oh yeah, we forgot. It's a year ago, October, that we released the book. And so just to give you the really quick story about it, success stories from women investing in real estate. It's 10 women from across Canada who have invested in real estate, and every story is very different, and how they have invested is very different. There's a couple of realtors in the book. There are people who never thought that they would be in real estate at all, and then there are people like Ava who invest in the U.S. So yes, that's what we. It's a year old now.
I know, time flies. The COVID time warp, right? Because I get it. So quickly run through where we can find you and how we can join you.
Absolutely. So the easiest place to find us is our website, and that is WREN.club. So you don't need the .com. We've got the .club moniker. So it's WREN.club. So that's pretty easy. Of course, we're on Facebook. My name is Liza Rogers. So it's Liza with a Z. If you search me, you'll find all of the things that we are attached to. We've got YouTube, of course, LinkedIn, and they're all under my name or WREN. So if you search for WREN Women's Real Estate Network or Liza Rogers, you'll find our Instagram. We're on Twitter, although, Twitter just seems to be one of those things we don't use very much. So Facebook, we definitely use a lot. Our website is very active, and we'll be updating it probably today with our event for next week. And you can email us at info@ren.club, and one of us, either myself or one of my wonderful helpers, will get back to you. We're pretty quick on responding. So super excited to be here and sharing all of that information.
Easy to find, folks. Easy to find. I have everybody. I collect quotes, and I would love to hear your quote that gets you through the challenging times.
Yeah, I have a few. I think the one that I would say right now is the one that has meant a lot to me is 3 feet from gold. Right? You probably know the quote,
Napoleon Hill. Yeah.
Napoleon Hill, right? Don't stop when you're just 3 feet from gold, because so many people, especially when we're in tough economic times, they start something and it's too hard, or the market changes, or people, their friends or family aren't supporting them, but if it's a great idea and it's something you're passionate about and you can make it work, and you surround yourself with the right people who can help you get there, don't give up when you're 3 feet from gold. Because so many times we all look back and say, if only I had kept going, the empires that could have been built if only you had just dug that last 3 feet. So that for me this year and over the time of COVID has been the one that I would say has meant a lot. Don't give up when you're only 3 feet from gold.
I would absolutely agree 110%, because folks, it's always darkest before dawn. Nothing comes easy in this life that's worthwhile. And there is no such thing as overnight success. Everybody goes, take a look at Brene Brown. She had 30 years in the industry before the whole world sat up and listened.
Yeah.
So, and her message at year 29 was the same as year 30. So give yourself grace and dig a little deeper. So 3 feet from gold. I love that. It was funny because that actually just came up in an entire conversation. It was something from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is based on Napoleon Hill's. And if you guys don't know who Napoleon Hill is, please do yourself a favor, because
and that's those are my 2 other favorite books. I still reread both of them every year: Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Think and Grow Rich. Right, Robert Kiyosaki and Napoleon Hill. They're still the game changers for so many people.
Yes, they are. And I see them referred to regularly doing the different podcasts and the different interviews. And they are reference guides for so many successful people. That is for sure. So I just want to thank everybody for sharing your time, because we know that your time is your most valuable, non-renewable resource that you have. And I am truly grateful for that. So do check out Liza, go and see what's opportunity. Make your own group. Do something today. Lean into your network. And Liza, again, I thank you for sharing your time with myself and our audience.
My pleasure. It was super fun, Kim. Thank you.
Absolutely. Until next time, folks, you know what? Be good. And remember, 500 doors is all it takes. 500 doors, and behind every door, there's opportunity. So you got this. Until next time, I'm Kim Hayden.